Hello and welcome, you guys. We got the 1124 post-game show today. We are going to be reading through the 1124 full spoiler comment section and just seeing what people are talking about and having a little discussion here. I know what you might be thinking. Sai, the chapter's out. Why read through the full spoiler comments, not the review video? Well, we're going to do both, brother. We got a break week here in front of us, and I said, hey, why not extend the conversation a little bit and just have some fun with it? So with that being said, let's get right to it. So the first comment says, Mr. Borsellino calling Akainu a brat is actually crazy. Yeah, I agree. That wasn't exactly on my 2024 bingo card, to say the least. What's even more crazy is the fact that Akainu apologized. Right, normally Akainu would just lash out, but getting the apology from Akainu is equally, if not more, wild. I think Lilith is hungry because she was disconnected from the other Vegapunks by Atlas before she attacked the Elder. Remember, Yorick thinks she's dead because there is no connection, and this is partially true. So we know that Lilith is hungry, and that's because she doesn't have the connection to Yorick, but she still does have a connection to the other Vegapunks, because in this chapter she does clarify and say, hey, the other Vegapunks are still alive. And twice in this chapter, she stops and she gets like an update in her headpiece, and then she later says, oh, don't worry guys, I actually just learned everything. She told Sanji that not once, but twice. So she is still connected to Punk Records and some of the Vegapunks, just not Yorick. So it seems as if Yorick just isn't privy on this information. It's kind of like Atlas activated stealth mode on Lilith, which is the main thing I pose in this video as well. We'll go through a lot of comments, and I'm sure we'll run to a couple here or there, where they're like, hey, Sai, don't forget that Atlas flipped a switch on Lilith. And it's like, yes, that happened, and that's why this is happening. But we don't know what that switch is kind of what I was trying to get at, right? Like, did it simply disconnect only Yorick? Does she still have a connection to Punk Records? Like, what is really going on here? From the way this chapter makes it sound, it does sound like she is still connected to Punk Records, but her and Yorick just have different connections going through at the same time. Which also makes me wonder now, does Yorick have connections to the other Vegapunks then, and just not Lilith? Like, we don't really know how this works at all. So right below this comment though, it says, Akainu, oh shit, I'm sorry, bro. And Kizaru said, nah, you said what you said. Yeah, rest in peace. And I feel really bad for Akainu, man. Like, I know that's gonna be a minority opinion, but I'm sure all of us, everybody watching this video, has had a circumstance in their life where we've said something that we either didn't mean or just said in the heat of the moment. So I do feel for Akainu here. All right, we're getting a lot of back-to-back Akainu and Kizaru comments. The next one says, I think Akainu respects Kizaru and saw that he was being serious. I agree. And right below that, they say, Akainu and Kizaru reminds me of something like a silent older brother suddenly lashing out with emotions, which surprises the younger impulsive brother, thus backing down like that. I felt the emotion of Akainu in that. Same. Yeah, I feel like this really does humanize Kizaru and Akainu, because both of these characters, I feel like, reacted realistically in this scenario. Alright, so the next comment says, Akainu, Kuzan, and Kizaru probably drank sake together like Luffy, Ace, and Sabo did. Maybe with Dragon 2. And I completely agree. And it's not that hard to see considering their age, right? These guys are old men. They work for the Navy. There's a good chance they drank sake, or at least drink sake almost every other night or something. But besides that though, the way Akainu calls Kizaru brother in this chapter is supposedly the exact same way Luffy calls Ace and Sabo brother. They use Kyodai. So it's pretty cool seeing that dynamic here. And yeah, maybe they did exchange sake, or perhaps maybe they simply swore an oath to each other that they would follow their dreams or follow their own sense of justice. And then that's why they all have their own distinguished sense of justice. Akainu being absolute, Kuzan being lazy justice, I believe, and then Kizaru's, of course, is unclear justice. And then Dragon just has no justice. I mean, we don't know his justice yet, but he did say he found no justice in the Navy. So yeah, something's definitely going on with that guy. Right below that though, let's see what we got. Can't wait to finally start getting some insight into the dynamics and history of the another Admiral's comment. Hey, I'm not hating. I love the Admirals. I'm glad they're getting some clout this chapter. I never would have expected Akainu to actually apologize to anyone that is ranked below him. It is a cool change of pace. And yes, it is. And here's the thing too, right? Even though Akainu is a higher rank than Kizaru, they were both probably admirals and brothers in arms for a long time. So even though Akainu is a higher rank, I bet he can't shake the habit of looking at Kizaru and just seeing a colleague too. Oda is giving both Akainu and Kizaru enough reason to turn against the world government. Alright, so for Kizaru, I can see it, and I'll explain why here in a second, but as far as Akainu goes, I want to tackle that real quick. I do think Akainu will also betray the world government, but not anytime soon, and if he does, we need more insight as to why. Because Akainu right now is a character shrouded in mystery. I feel like we've seen so much of him, but so little at the same time. But now, on to Kizaru. Yes, because just thinking back to Kuzan, for example, right? Kuzan had Ohara happen, and that was like the first chip in the armor. And then as time went on, Kuzan started becoming more and more lax around pirates. Like how he started checking up on Robin, you know, he let the Straw Hats go time and time again, and then eventually he just straight up defected after fighting with the Akainu. So yeah, in my opinion, since Ohara and Agate Island are essentially a parallel of one another, I could see this totally being Kizaru's first step towards defection in the future. Like maybe, here's an example, right? Maybe Kizaru finds out that he didn't kill all of the Vegapunks. Maybe he meets Lilith again, and Lilith is like, hey, Kizaru, Stella is in here. You know, Stella says, hey, you know, I don't blame you for doing it, man. You're just doing your job. I don't think Kizaru would have the balls to kill Vegapunk again, right? If Lilith told Kizaru that Stella lived inside of her, I don't think Kizaru's gonna pull the trigger one more time. It reminds me of the Garp situation. Garp really wanted to save Ace, but he couldn't because it was against his job. But guess what? After Marineford, he came to really regret that decision, you know? He was crying, he had to Dawn beating him up, and then next thing you know, when he had a chance to save somebody, he went right away. You know, even though he didn't get any permission from Akainu or the Navy, he went to fight Blackbeard ASAP. So I could totally see Kizaru being the same way, right? He killed Vegapunk once, he's not gonna do it again. Or maybe he runs into Sentomaru and he lets Sentomaru go, or he'll save Sentomaru. Or same could be said for Bonnie, right? He knew Bonnie. He saw Bonnie when she was a kid. Maybe if he runs into Bonnie, he gives her a free pass. So yeah, I think this is the start of Kizaru's character development, and I'm really excited to see how he develops in the future. So I typically don't read replies, but we got like a whole chain here, and I'm kind of curious to see what they're saying. I haven't spoiled myself to the content yet, so let's see. This one says, nah, they're just cogs in the machine who blindly follow orders like the obedient, good little doggies they are. Crazy way to put it. We don't want them to switch sides now that Luffy can dog walk them. Keep that same energy they had in Sabaody and Marineford. Well, I think that's kind of reductive to say, but at the same time, like, I could see it, right? You know, people don't like Marines for a plethora of reasons, but at the same time, like, they're not just cogs in the machine. They want to be cogs in the machine, right? If Kizaru was a cog in the machine, he wouldn't be going through what he's going through in this chapter. So I think they will switch sides. As far as Luffy dog walking them, I mean, he's the main character. He's eventually going to be able to beat everybody, so I think that's a silly thing to say as well. And you know what? Another way to look at it is that if you can't beat them, join them. You know, if Akainu can't beat Luffy, if Kizaru can't beat Luffy, join them. You know, help them build a better world. And at the same time, like, these guys are fighting for their own sense of justice. They're just being pulled by a corrupted system. And at some point, they are going to have to cut that tie, because the world government is actively trying to end the world. I don't know if they know the full scope of it, but, you know, I don't exactly think they're all on board with, you know, sinking the world and killing all of humanity. So at some point, they're going to have to wake up, smell the roses, and say, hey, maybe the Celestial Dragons are bad. All right, so the comment below that says, if you think Akainu's not getting taken down, you're wild. I think everybody thinks Akainu's going to get taken down. It's just a matter of who. A lot of people like the Akainu-Sabo matchup. Personally, I'm a fan of the Akainu Dragon matchup. I feel like that's going to be a fun one. I think we could get a lot of backstory there between the two characters, and maybe even learn why Dragon left the Navy as well. So I'm a fan of Dragon beating Akainu, and then Akainu saying, hey, show me your justice, Dragon. Because Dragon, you know, iconically said there's no justice in the Navy, and that's the exact opposite of Akainu. So I would love that, like, yin and yang dynamic to clash and see who comes out on top. And then below that, it says Kizaru's situation is similar to Aokiji's with Saul at Ohara, where he had to kill his friend, and the island was also being destroyed by a Buster Call. There's a lot more parallels too, like the Ancient Kingdom, the Void Century, the Gorosei. You could even throw in Robin and Sentomaru. They're also parallels too. Oda kind of went out of his way to draw that, huh? But yeah, getting right back to the comment, this is a very apparent parallel, and I'm a big fan of it. You know, maybe it's because Ohara was so long ago, but whenever I see an old callback, I'm like, hey, that's nice. You know, I'm like, okay, that like scratches an itch, you know? It's like when we saw Dory and Brogy again with Shanks. I was like, ooh, I don't like Dory or Brogy, but it's cool that they're back. You know, I like it. I love these old callbacks, man. That's also why I'm a big Don Krieg and Geen fan, because they were Baratier villains, and here they are in the new world. I think it's awesome. Right below that, though, they say, oh, it's a response to this one. But Aokiji did not kill Saul. Kizaru did. I'm assuming you meant to say Kizaru did kill Vegapunk. Actually, I'm gonna twist this a little bit. This is another parallel, actually, right? Because Aokiji thinks he killed Saul, but he didn't. Saul survived. Kizaru thinks he killed Dr. Vegapunk, but according to Lilith, Vegapunk survived. All right, so the next comment says, I think Usopp is going to learn how to store Haki in objects. This is actually a cool idea. I have not thought about this yet. As far as Usopp learning how to store Haki in objects, I guess that could be similar to dials that we saw in Skypiea. The only problem is that Usopp doesn't have Haki. He has observation Haki, but he doesn't have armament or Conqueror's Haki yet. So if he does learn this ability, he's gonna have to go up to Luffy or Zoro or Sanji and say, hey guys, put some Haki in this rope, right? Like, I think that'd be kind of funny. But I do like the idea. I like the uniqueness of this. I like it. Going down, 245. I think Sentomaru is going to run into Morgan's, and that might be how they get the story of what actually happened on Egghead. Oh, not bad. Okay, I'm trying to think now. Okay, wait. Robin. We're having a lot of parallels between Egghead Island and Ohara. After Robin left Ohara, what happened? I remember she, like, stayed with the family for a little bit, and then they got a wanted poster, and then they almost turned her in, and then she ran away. And then Robin ended up joining a bunch of different underground factions before she joined Baroque Works. So yeah, maybe that does happen since Morgan's is a part of the underworld. But then again, I still like the Neo Mads option, and they're technically the underworld. They have a lot of connections with them. But I think I am just biased towards Caesar and Judge because I like those guys. But yeah, Sentomaru with Morgan's wouldn't be awful. And plus, Sentomaru is a bodyguard, and there is a princess on board. So I think that could work out. I wouldn't mind. And then right below that, they say, I think Lilith can't feel her connection to York anymore because Atlas switched off or broke her connection after she knocked her out. I regret it, dude. I regret not saying that one line. I didn't clarify. And now I got a lot of comments saying this. I appreciate everybody for informing me, but it's also like, damn, I could have just added in like 5 seconds where I'm like, guys, the switch happened, but we just don't know what that switch did. Oh my God. You won't believe this. Look, the next comment. I literally said this in the beginning of the video. Akainu saying sorry was not on my 2024 bingo card. I guess it's not the most unique thing to say, but it's like seeing a brother on the street. Wow, nice one. Going down, I think Kizaru will continue his work with the Marines, and I think in the end, he will accept defeat at the hands of the Strats as a way to pay for his mistakes. Yeah, another thing I heard too is kind of like paying for his mistakes. I heard Kizaru might sacrifice himself for Marines or other people he knows or loves. And I kind of like that idea a lot too. You know, just kind of paying it forward. Like maybe Kizaru sees someone he can like save from the Mother Flame or save from York, right? The evil Vegapunk. Maybe he puts a stop to her and that's how he pays back Stella, you know? Because Stella, in the broadcast, said that he made 2 grave sins. 1 was researching the Void Century and 2 was creating the Mother Flame. Maybe Kizaru, as a way to pay it back, goes out and he destroys the Mother Flame. I don't know how he would do that. I don't know why he would do it right now, but maybe in the future something like that happens, right? Kizaru's like, hey, I hate my life, you know? I gotta do something better. But I do like this, man. Like I said, Kizaru development, I think, has been one of the best takeaways off of Egghead. Oh, wait, is this a Vice Admiral comment right below? Like I said, I don't read replies, but I saw VA. After the Vice Admiral's poor display at Egghead Island, the world government can't afford to lose Kizaru. His punishment could be being the go-between for the Celestial Dragons Dashigorose and the Fleet Admiral, taking 2 giant pain-in-the-ass problems off of his mind. The world government can't afford to lose Kizaru. That is only true, which, base level, I agree with. But we do have to remember that the Holy Knights exist, and we don't know how strong they are yet. Are they Admiral level? I don't think so, but, it's nice to be hopeful. So maybe when we see what the Celestial Dragons are capable of, we'll be like, oh, okay, maybe they didn't need the Marines, or oh, maybe that is why they've been in power for 900 years, right? Because right now, it's like, yo, the only reason the Celestial Dragons have power is because of the Marines, and they're two separate factions. So I want to see what the Celestial Dragons and world government can put on the table in terms of military might. What if Lilith now carries all the characteristics and personalities of all the other Vegapunks, and partly some of Stella's as well? I think that'd be completely broken, and she would be the best version of Vegapunk out there. Considering the fact that Vegapunk, the Stella body, he mentioned that his antenna has like a limited range, if I recall correctly. So the fact that Lilith is now leaving Egghead and still has this connection and or personalities within her, that'd make her broken. At this point, she's essentially Nagato from Naruto. The only thing that I think would work as a nerf against Lilith right now would be the fact that the Straw Hats are broke. They have no money, and they have no real way to fund anything Lilith could or would want to make. So I think this could be like pretty balanced if you really think about it. And yeah, I do like this idea a lot. Kizaru ending up in Cross Guild would be amazing. That's a crazy combination. I did not expect that. What an even more awkward matchup with Buggy, Mihawk, and you're not wrong. Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile, that is an awkward situation. So at that point, you might as well throw Kizaru in there, man. I mean, hey, can he really make it any more awkward? Outside of that, though, like, we did draw the parallels earlier, and if we are doing that, so since Kuzan joined Blackbeard, Kizaru joining another Yonko isn't super far-fetched. Here's the thing with parallels in One Piece, though. Like, at what point will Oda stop the parallels? Or at least, like, cut them off? So I'm kind of curious, like, will Oda really go that far with the parallel? I think it'd be cool. Hey, personally, I'm all about chaos. I like the wacky plot points. That's what I'm all about. So Kizaru joining Cross Guild, while it's not something I would have done, I do think it'd be kind of funny. And right below that, what do they say? Yeah, right. Imagine the world's best swordsman, the fastest in the world, Crocodile being pretty much a genius strategist, and then there's Buggy. That would be awesome and a crazy matchup. Hey, you got a character who has nowhere to go? Cross Guild, Neo Mads, Revs, right? Like, hey, throw them all back, man. Bring in Don Krieg too, man. Bring in Don Krieg. Why not? Oh my god. How far are we into this video? I don't know. I don't have a timer out, but guys, we have it. We have our first silhouette comment. I'm definitely for Team Shiki Silhouette. Finally giving Shiki his manga introduction. And then right below that, they say it's Kaido. Bro, before I talk about the Shiki comment, I have to talk about the Kaido comment first because that's just funny. Yeah, imagine it's actually Kaido sitting at Elbaf waiting for the Straw Hats. Brother, he would get waxed. I mean, here's the thing with Kaido. He is very, very, very powerful, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But Luffy, Sun God Nika mode, he has, I wouldn't say mastered Gear 5th, but Luffy right now using Gear 5th is way better than Luffy at Wano using Gear 5th, right? He's had more time to experiment, play around with it. I don't know how the timers changed, but I'd like to assume that Luffy is stronger now post Egghead. Same could be said for Zoro, Sanji, all of them. Keep in mind, Luffy has his crew. He's got Lilith, Bonnie, Kuma, who's technically already dead. We got the Giants on our side. We have probably the entire country of Elbaf on our side because he's the sun god versus Kaido. Only Kaido. If he doesn't have his crew, I think Kaido would get waxed here if he's off the coast. Like, if it's just Kaido, 1v1000, I think Kaido would lose. Please, don't do this to Kaido, Oda. You know, he went out with the bang. If it comes back, bring him back with the force. Not like this. You know, don't have Kaido lose in this crazy battle, right? As far as Shiki goes, I like the Shiki idea a lot. I mean, the more I look at that silhouette, the more I just do see Shiki. Between the stance he's sitting in where you can't see the legs, the hat, even him drinking the sake, I feel like is very Shiki, because in the cover page, you can see the quote Shiki character drinking sake. Shiki with white beard is also drinking sake. Drinking sake is like Shiki's bread and butter. Shiki sake, it even sounds the same, actually. So yeah, I am Team Shiki. I think it'd be pretty cool. Personally, I'm not the biggest Shiki fan. I'm like a really tough critic when it comes to characters. But, you know, if Shiki comes back into the manga, gets a proper reintroduction, gets fleshed out more, I would be all for it. Kizaru still has some offers as an Uber Eats deliverer if he leaves the world government. Yo, light speed delivery? Oh my god. You know, Kizaru would be a great black market dealer. Imagine buying something, you pay extra, and then boom, it's at your doorstep ASAP. Funny enough though, I'm assuming you said the Uber Eats deliverer because of the food incident here on Egghead Island, and that's still a mystery. We still don't know who gave Luffy food during his fight against Saturn. It could have been Kizaru, it could have been Van Augur, it could have been just the vending machine, which of course he did get more food from the vending machine, but it was different food, right? Like the food Luffy got from the vending machine is different from the food he was eating on the floor, I think. I mean, he had a ramen bowl, and that's the same ramen bowl that Kizaru had. And now that we know that Kizaru didn't want to kill Vegapunk, but he had to, like, what happened there, right? I don't know. There's still so many mysteries about Egghead, brother. And I can't wait, because as time goes on, like, even though we left the island, we're still getting these flashbacks. You know, we're still learning things post-Egghead about Egghead. All right, so below that, though, they say, brother, Lilith isn't connected to Yorick since she isn't connected to Punk Records anymore. And yeah, brother, I mean, I see it, but like, here's the thing, like, she's still connected to the other satellites somehow, right? Like, they were talking to her in this chapter. So, like, is she actually disconnected from Punk Records, or is it just Yorick's connection she can't get to? I think it's just like that two-way split. Like, I think they both have access to Punk Records, but just not each other. Like, that is a weird way to like do this, but hopefully you get what I mean right there. I need an OG Admiral's flashback double exclamation point. You and me both, brother. You and me both. I would love that. I mean, if One Piece ever ends, I mean, if it ever ends, when it ends, I wouldn't mind if somebody took up the mantle and did the OG Admiral's flashback, did a Garp flashback, Roger flashback, and just make that like a little spin-off series. I would not mind that whatsoever. I mean, Oda has a lot of assistants. He has a lot of assistants, a lot of editors. I think it's possible. I think that's totally possible. And plus, guys, Shonen Jump! Outside of One Piece, you know, outside of Dandadan, Sakamoto days, like, the next gen, it's not that strong, brother. It's not that strong. I would be amiss if they didn't, like, grab Oda by the hands and start squeezing him dry, saying, hey, Oda, give us one more story, you know, give us the IP, right? So I could totally see it. Of course, I do think this will actually be in the canon manga, but if they don't give it to us, I'm cool with the spin-off. I love the character development of Akainu and Kizaru, me as well. And then this guy says, I'm about to stand up to my manager like that. Don't do that. You're gonna get fired, brother. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep your job. Sentomaru joining Sword would be cool. Yeah, I agree. Sentomaru joining Sword wouldn't be bad. The only problem is that Sword is still employed by the Navy. Sword only loses that, quote, employment once they attack a Yonko or do their own thing, but they're still employed by them. They can still go to Marine bases. Sentomaru betraying the Marines and world government on Egghead, I think would make it to where his application would get lost. All right, so the last comment now, we've been going on for a small minute. It says, the only other person I could think of that would be waiting for Luffy drinking and silhouetted is Kaido. Really, another Kaido comment. What if him and Shanks were actually friends? And Kaido was the gatekeeper to see if Joy Boy would appear, and that is why he was adamant that whoever was Joy Boy would be the one to beat him, and why he said he had to be on Wano. Alright, so the first Kaido comment, I was joking about that one, because I thought it was a joke. I thought they said it as a joke, but I've been seeing more and more Kaido comments, and now I have to take it seriously. So Kaido, I don't think that's a bad idea. So when I first talked about him earlier, I talked about him in the sense of being a villain. personally, I don't think Kaido will be a villain if he were to come back. I feel like once he finds out that he's not Joy Boy and that Joy Boy has arrived, I think he would want to ride that wave and see what happens. And even if not the case, I think he could just grab an ancient weapon and just have fun on the side. Because he did want to get an ancient weapon before Luffy beat him, right? Him and Big Mom allied. He said, hey, we're going after the One Piece, ancient weapons, hoorah. So I could see Kaido being on Elbaf if that's the case. And plus, a lot of time has passed since him and Big Mom got blown up by the volcano. So yeah, him making it to Elbaf, I think timeline-wise would make sense. As far as him and Shanks goes, they did clash before Marineford, and then Kaido did go home after talking to Shanks and clashing with them. So they do have some sort of connection that isn't entirely hostile. So Kaido being led on Elbaf, yeah, not bad. Kaido also knows Hakuoku Sovereignty, the combination attack with Linlin that was inspired by the Giants, so that's another +1. Huh. And then Kaido is an Oni. That's an ancient race. Giants are kind of like an ancient race. There are ancient giants as well that have horns. So it's like a mixture of giants and Oni. So maybe there's something there. You know, I don't dislike the idea is what I'm trying to say. I don't dislike it. I just don't know if it'd be Kaido. So soon, right? And if Kaido's here, I wonder, like, what about his crew? Is he simply letting Albur, King, for example, is he just simply letting him go to Impel Down? Because I don't think he would. I feel like if Kaido were to come back, the first thing he would have to do is save King. King is his right-hand man. Queen, he can let go. You know, Queen was kind of whatever. He was just there for the ride. I think Kaido needs to save King, again, because he did that originally at Punk Hazard. And then he also needs to pick up Jack, wherever the hell Jack is. Jack is Kaido's protege. You know, King is his right-hand man, but Jack is his protege. So I feel like if we were to see Kaido again, he needs those two characters with him, personally. But, you know, I don't dislike Kaido. I don't dislike the Kaido idea. All right, so I lied. We're going to do 1 or 2 more comments. I think Sentomaru or Kizaru, or both, could link up with Rayleigh because we first met them at Sabaody. And I think both of them, after what happened, could seek out answers about the ancient past. I like that, right? Vegapunk wanted to talk about the ancient past. He researched it. So maybe Sentomaru or Kizaru get curious as well. And they want to go out and find out why Vegapunk decided to throw his life away seeking answers. I wouldn't mind that. And I do think that Kizaru and Rayleigh would make a hell of a combo. That's like a dream team right there, right? Kizaru and Rayleigh. I pity the fool who has to fight those guys at once. So right below that, this is the final one. Can't wait for Luffy's new bounty to go out after fighting the Gorosei, admirals, the VAs, and 100 warships and still manage to escape safely. Kizaru might start respecting Luffy just like Smoker and Fujitora. I would say that Kizaru's always respected Luffy. Even back at Sabaody, I feel like he did have a certain amount of respect for, like, the way Luffy acted. Actually, he did say it, right? When Luffy said, hey guys, we can't win, let's retreat, Kizaru did respect that decision. He said he hates it because it's annoying for him, but I do vividly recall Kizaru saying that it was a really smart choice. But yeah, I feel like this would definitely paint Luffy in a different light for Kizaru. And I bet a lot of Marines too, right? I feel like a lot of Marines will eventually come around and start liking Luffy after they meet him. Of course. But yes, with that being said though, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, sharing your thoughts and comments. I really freaking appreciate it. Of course, we couldn't make this video without all these comments. And I think it's fun, right? You guys throw your words out there. I want you to know that your voices are being heard and being read and talked about. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later whenever the next spoilers come out. And that's it. See you later.